Good day, it's August 19, 2024. Only 11 weeks left before the presidential election in the United States. I'm Joe Buban, welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban, welcome to our news program.
With just 11 weeks to go, Americans in the United States and abroad will cast their votes either by mail or in person to elect a new president and more than 20 U.S. senators and 435 House of Representatives to the next Congress, the 119th Congress. Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz are the presumptive nominees, which is expected to be officially nominated at the Democratic National Convention that started today in the city of Chicago, Illinois. The Harris-Walz presidential ticket is surging in the polls and had taken over Trump in areas which were listed as for Trump or listed as a toss-up. In a recently released polls as late last week, Kamala Harris is ahead of Donald Trump in the state of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Michigan, and tied in Wisconsin. According to Cook Political Report and Quinnipiac University polls, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin is what the Democrats traditionally called the blue wall. Those states went from Trump in 2016, but the Democrats under Joe Biden won those states back in 2020. In Arizona, a state known to be a Republican but had elected Joe Biden in 2020 and voted for a Democratic governor, Katie Hobbs, and the Harris-Walz ticket is now ahead in Arizona and tied in Georgia. Both states had long been Republican stronghold, but both voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Could this renewed enthusiasm and excitement among Democratic voters and some Republicans are now voting for Kamala Harris for president translates into votes down the ticket to the Democratic side, like Senate races, House of Representative races, according to Texas Democrat Beto O'Rourke, who unsuccessfully ran for U.S. Senate in 2018. He is optimistic that Kamala Harris, on the top of the ticket, could energize a lot of the Latino voters to go out and vote, and could vote on the Democratic ticket, he said, talking to the New Republic, a Texas newspaper. He said this could give better chance for Congressman Colin Allred, who is running for Senate to unseat U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican. But for the Montana Senate race, polls in the past 4 to 6 weeks still shows Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester falling behind by 2 to 4 points against Tim Sheehy, a much younger candidate and a Republican. Tim Sheehy is ahead by 6 points, but in a survey last week by KULR-TV. But then again, it only represented 531 survey participants. Jon Tester had survived challenges in the past 2 election cycles. Some people believe it is his connection to the rural areas and the farmers that made him endured tough election challenges and prevailed.
While Donald Trump continued to be rambling and babbling when he speaks in his campaign rallies and in his social media, complaining about the crowd sizes in Kamala Harris' rally versus his, Republican leaders and personalities are starting to publicly complain and is asking Donald Trump to stop personally attacking Kamala Harris and focus on policy issues, talking points. Among those who recently criticized Donald Trump was her former opponent in the primary, Nikki Haley, who was a former governor and Trump's ambassador to the UN. Haley had uttered the phrase during the primary campaign that if the Republicans choose Trump as the nominee, we will have Kamala Harris as president. Well, that might just be a prophecy. There are also reports that the group of Republicans for Harris now has more than 70,000 members. The Lincoln Project, a PAC, a political action committee created by a group of country-loving Republicans like former Congressman Kitzinger and John Conway, had ramped up their attacks on Donald Trump through television ads. One of those ads is about and had something to do with Trump's alleged cognitive decline and dementia.
But what about the state of Nevada? Nevada had not elected a Republican president since 2004. Democrat Barack Obama won Nevada both in 2008 and 2012. Hillary Clinton won Nevada in 2016, and Joe Biden took Nevada in 2020. And the demographics in Clark County, where the population is concentrated, has turned Democrats or blue, and statewide, it's considered a purple state, meaning a mix of blue and red. Republicans and Democrats. 3 of its 4 House representatives are Democrats, while only 1 is a Republican from Carson City. And in the U.S. Senate, 2 are Democrats. Jackie Rosen, who is up for re-election for the 6th-year term. She is leading in the polls against Republican Sam Brown. Of the 50 states, the Democrats are trying hard to keep their majority in the Senate, whereby 22 seats are up for re-election, the 2 of which are considered vulnerable, like Senator John Tester of Montana, and an open seat currently held by Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who decided to retire at the end of his term this year. Glenn Elliott, the former mayor of Wheeling, West Virginia, is running for the seat but is currently not doing well in the polls against Governor Jim Justice, the Republican candidate. That places the West Virginia Senate seat as the most vulnerable. We are going to take a short break. Please stay with us.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
From the Telly Award winning creator of Love and Karma, Legacy, and Ultra Feminist. Underneath the bright neon lights of Sin City, where fortunes are won and lost in an instant, and the truth can be a bit hazy. Join Elena, a hardworking single mother, her hot-headed son Miguel, and Gabriel, a Filipino pop star on the brink of international stardom, as they embark on a journey of self-discovery, love, and the courage to find one's voice and speak the truth. Made to Shine, coming soon. Presented by FilAmTV Network. Written and directed by Giovanni Espiritu.
To keep updated or for more information, visit filmtv.us/made-to-shine or scan the QR code to be added to the email list for updates and upcoming opportunities to be part of the show. Executive produced by Sam Buban and Esmeralda Padilla Gould.
Welcome back to the polls. In a report from the Associated Press, Tony Weed wins GOP primary to replace Congressman Mike Gallagher, who resigned in April 19 this year. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump endorsed Tony Weed as he won as GOP's primary winner for congressional seat that was vacated by former Representative Mike Gallagher and will serve out Gallagher's term. Weed will now be in the general election ballot in November. If he wins against Democrat, he will serve another term, but that is yet to be seen. According to a news article on Washington Examiner, Tony Weed defeated GOP challengers Roger Roth and Andre Jacques in the special primary after gathering more than 41% of the vote, with 72% of the votes already tallied, leading the way for him to finish out former Representative Mike Gallagher's term. The state will hold a special general election in November, the winner, which will carry out the rest of Gallagher's term until January 3rd. Tony Weed sold the Green Bay-based Dino Stop Gas and convenience store chain in 2022. He had been largely uninvolved in local politics before he was recruited to run for the seat by the Trump-aligned GOP consultant Alex Bruzewicz, who had made a fun run of his own following Gallagher's Mayorkas vote. The former Congressman Mike Gallagher was a Republican that many Democrats like because he was a bipartisan when it comes to important things for the country, like fighting against China's influence and notably on immigration. He was one of the 3 Republicans who voted no to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. According to an article from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Tony Weed met with Trump during the former president's April Day rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and brought with him a document titled Tony Weed for Congress. That included biographical information. Trump signed the document and publicly endorsed Weed just days later. Meanwhile, Weed had pledged to give Trump an ally he will need in Congress. He has declined to say whether President Joe Biden was rightfully elected in 2020 and said he opposes any aid to Ukraine in its fight against Russia. It was Mike Gallagher, who is the only Wisconsin Republican to support aid to Ukraine as part of a sweeping foreign aid package in April. Tony Weed, a former gas station owner, won the nomination and is set to face Christine Lyerly, the peer Democrat, in November election.
In a report from BBC, Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, has called for an end to the protests following 3 days of bloodshed in response to the growing problem in the cost of living. Over 700 individuals have been detained and at least 7 fatalities have occurred since Nigerians worldwide staged the first of 10 scheduled days of rage on Thursday. In a televised speech, the president stated, "My dear Nigerians, especially our youth, I have heard you loud and clear," and he added that he understood their frustration, quote unquote. He continued to defend his economic measures, which the demonstrators accuse of being the cause of their suffering since he took office in May of 2023, especially the sharp increase in prices. In addition, President Tinubu conveyed his sorrow for the deaths in 4 northern states and the damage done to public buildings. Curfews of 24 hours are still in effect in Borno, Jigawa, Kano, and Yobe after local authorities they're charged hoodlums with assault. The protests in Kano City drew the largest crowds on the first day, with police firing live bullets and tear gas to try to disperse thousands of demonstrators. Looting was also reported. As president for this country, I must ensure public order, the 72-year-old president said in his speech on Sunday morning. Our government will not stand idly by and allow a few with a clear political agenda to tear this nation apart. Amnesty International has put the death toll at 13 nationwide and on Sunday called on Kano's governor to set up an independent judicial commission for inquiry to investigate the killing of at least 10 hunger protesters. Bolama Bukarti, a security analyst from Nigeria, issued a warning about the growing and potentially dangerous usage of Russian flags. He said on formerly Twitter, known as X, I implore protesters to exercise caution and not allow themselves to be duped by forces of instability with their own evil agendas. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, Nigeria's northern neighbor, have all left the regional grouping in the wake of many coups in West Africa in recent years, and they have welcomed the Russian assistance in resolving security-related difficulties. There are still thousands of Nigerians in the Philippines, many of whom are stranded for economic reasons, and when their parents back home are not able to send enough money than before because of the seemingly runaway inflation in Nigeria. We'll take a commercial break. When we come back, we will be joined by Nevada Assemblywoman Venicia Considine. Please stay tuned.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. With us now here at our studios is a lawyer and two-term assemblywoman in the Nevada Assembly, District 18, who is running for re-election this year, Venicia Considine. Assemblywoman Venicia Considine, welcome to The Pulse. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Please tell our viewers a bit about yourself first before we go into the question.
Okay, well, I'm Venicia Considine. I represent Assembly District 18, which is on the southeast side of Las Vegas and a little bit of Henderson. It encompasses Boulder Highway from Samstown to Galleria. That's kind of the heart of my district.
Okay.
And it includes the Wetlands Park. If you've never been to the Wetlands Park, it's an amazing, quiet, wonderful area, as well as the Bird Preserve is out there as well. And I've served 2 terms, and I am running for my 3rd term in the Assembly.
Venicia, you were a sponsor of a bill relating to some protections of tenants, more like a regulation about landlords. What was that bill about, and what happened to that bill?
So I sponsored AB 218, and the goal of AB 218 was to get rid of junk fees and what I called like resort fees. So the idea of that bill was what you're told your rent is what your rent is.
Yes.
And there are no other extra fees. There was another bill about capping application fees and capping admin fees.
Yes.
So this one was a step beyond that, because once you were told your rent is $1,200,
yes,
and you've already paid your non-refundable fees to get there, when you sit down to sign your lease, it should be unlawful that at that point you're told, oh, your sewer and trash is an extra $40 a month, and the key to the pool is an extra $15 a month, and your entertainment thing is an extra $20 a month. All of these extra fees that you have no control over and you don't know about until you sit down to sign the lease. So the idea was your rent should incorporate all the fees that you don't have an option to decide about.
Yeah, I know there was an effort, and the bill passed in the House and in the Senate concerning like rent regulation, but it was vetoed by the governor. Okay, is that something that can be revisited in the next session, especially if we get into like a veto-proof Senate?
Well, there were several bills that had to do with tenants. Like there was one about sort of capping rent and the raising of the rent for seniors specifically. And then there was my bill, the AB 218, and there were other bills that would have capped application fees and all of that. And the governor did veto all of those. Okay. So the Assembly last session, we did have a supermajority. We had 28 Democrats.
Are there anywhere in the horizon any ideas about where and from a form of taxes or amendment to state taxes that might be done to increase state funds?
So that's actually something that the Revenue Committee tries to look at. And we have the interim committees that were going on that end. Actually, my next Revenue Committee meeting is next week. But we're looking at that. What we're coming off of right now as a state and most of the country is we had the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan funds.
Yes, yes.
And I think that the last 4 years or so, that was additional money that was fantastic and was really used for great things. But that ends in 2026.
Oh, okay.
So I think that we need to reprioritize the taxes that we do have that come in,
Yes.
and maybe not focus on sort of the shiny things that might be better for tourists. Maybe focus a little bit more on, you know, our infrastructure, our schools, housing, affordable housing, those areas, and sort of focus our taxes on that.
What about the taxes from cannabis, which I know it was designated for our schools? Is that already getting allocated to fund schools in Nevada? Yeah.
So when the cannabis tax first started, I think a lot of people thought it was a panacea. I think they thought that there was going to be so much money brought in by the cannabis taxes that it would solve so many problems, but it really didn't. Initially, that money went specifically to the school accounts. But then in 21 and 23, we changed how we pay for the schools, the tax money that goes to the schools. So the cannabis tax money does go into the general fund and then comes out and goes to the schools.
Oh, I see.
But it's not as much money as people had hoped. And since so many other states now have legalized cannabis, it's not what we thought it would be.
Well, it's a good thing that at least, you know, these funds are being spent on our homeless population and programs that the state can do about it.
So what are the important things for the people of Nevada that you're thinking that should be addressed in the next assembly?
So I think what we should always be addressing is the fact that people move here because we're a city and a state of opportunity.
Yes.
You can come here from wherever you came from and go to school. You can afford to go to UNLV. It's how I was able to afford to go to UNLV because it was affordable and we had good jobs. And you could pay your rent and you could pay for your school and you could find a way to build a life with dignity. And I think that should be sort of our stake in the ground for every bill that we pass and what we're looking to do. And what that would require to build that good life, we need to continue and refocus on the opportunities for the people that live here to have good paying jobs. We need to focus on our education system so that kids in elementary school and middle school and high school and college can dream up what they want to do for the future and not sort of just fall into, I need to pay my rent, I need to do this. We are a state where people can dream and then have those dreams come true.
Yes.
I also think that we need to build a better healthcare system. We need to have more doctors, we need to have more specialists.
Yes.
I think we need to expand the medical school and all of those.
Right.
And then we need, again, the affordable housing, the attainable housing.
Yes.
Because I think once you have a good job, you feel good about your education and your future, you have a safe place to live, and you have, you know, an ability to take care of your health, there's no limit to what you could do. And that's sort of what Las Vegas is no limits.
Yeah. There's one good thing about good I like about our state legislature is they're doing something or enacting something that is what the people need. Okay, not like as Vice President Governor Walz is like, who are asking for this thing? You know, nobody. And they're enacting. You know, in some states they're enacting things that nobody was asking for it. They just, you know. But our state legislature here in Nevada, you know, most of them are teachers. Most of them are just, you know, ordinary people like us.
Yeah.
They're doing something for the state. Okay. We're almost out of time for this segment. Venicia, what would you like to tell our viewers? This is your pitch, your opportunity to speak to your voters.
Vote. It's the best thing that you can do. We have the citizens legislature, and there's a reason why people like myself and all of the other folks that I'm in the legislature with are teachers and legal aid lawyers and small business owners, and this great swath of different backgrounds is because people vote for us. And who you want to see in the legislature is not only who you should vote for, but it's who you should be. We have term limits, so not every legislator goes through their full 12 years of terms. So you should be thinking, if you have a good idea and you think that you should have more of a voice in the state of Nevada, then you should be thinking about running for office, because that's how all of this gets done. And it's great if you're represented by people who have your same beliefs and your same hopes. But if you feel like you could do a better job, or you feel like you represent a group of people that you don't think have been heard, you should vote, because that's what makes Nevada one of the most diverse states. It makes our legislature the first female majority. The best part of all of this is because we have all these voices, I think that we focus on passing bills that matter to people. Nevada has a long way to go with our population growth. We're always kind of trying to catch up instead of get ahead, but we can get there, and we can absolutely get there with a great legislature, great ideas, and great people, which is the best part about being in Nevada. So thank you for paying attention, thank you for being involved, thank you for volunteering, and thank you for considering the future of Nevada.
Assemblywoman Venicia Considine, thank you for talking to us today. Good luck on your race.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure having you here.
We're out of time for the show. Please join us next week again for The Pulse. I'm Joe Buban. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Sam Buban. God bless your week.